US officials say they fear as many as 600 people may have died after Hurricane Helene battered 6 states in the southeast of America.
Prepare for a shocking revelation. Ancient prophecies are on the verge of unfolding. As political shifts in Russia and changes in the British monarchy stir global tensions, an ominous flood threatens to devastate entire regions. And looming above it all is the prophecy of Jesus' return. The signs are unmistakable and the stakes couldn't be higher. Let's explore. Number 10. Signs of the end. The world is on the verge of significant changes, as foretold by both the Bible and Nostradamus, a 16th century French astrologer and prophet known for his cryptic but seemingly accurate predictions about future events. In 2024, these prophecies are beginning to take shape in ways that are hard to ignore. Nostradamus, who wrote his predictions in the 16th century, saw a future marked by natural disasters, global conflicts, and social upheavals, signs that are now becoming more evident. One of the most alarming predictions for this year is the worsening climate crisis. Nostradamus described the Earth becoming more parched before the onset of devastating floods. This isn't just a poetic metaphor, but seems to line up with current scientific warnings. Experts predict that 2024 could be one of the hottest years ever, with more wildfires, droughts, and storms than we've seen before. This increase in extreme weather events is partly due to climate change and the El Niño weather pattern, which are pushing the planet's ecosystems to their limits. But what's the most terrifying part of these predictions? It's the idea that these disasters are not just random events, they're leading us towards something much bigger. Nostradamus also warned of a time of intense conflict between nations, especially involving powerful navies. Some believe this points to potential clashes between major powers like China and the United States. The South China Sea, already a hotspot for geopolitical tension, could be the stage for these conflicts, with control over vital sea routes and resources at stake. These events aren't just seen as random disasters, but as signs of something much bigger. According to the Bible, particularly in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10, the earth will eventually be destroyed by fire as part of divine judgment. Many interpret the current rise in natural and man-made disasters as early warnings of the end times. This suggests that humanity is nearing a crucial moment in history, one that has been foretold for centuries. In 2024, it seems that the world is not just experiencing chaos, but is moving through a series of events that have been predicted long ago. The signs are all around us: worsening climate conditions, rising global tensions, and deep social divisions. For those who study these ancient prophecies, this year might be when everything starts to come together, leading to profound changes in the world as we know it. The big question is, are we ready for what's coming? Number 9. The last pope. Could the next pope be the last pope the world will ever see? One of the most mysterious and unsettling prophecies that could soon be fulfilled involves the final pope, often referred to as Peter the Roman. This prophecy comes from a 12th century Irish saint, Saint Malachy, who is said to have had a vision while in Rome, predicting the identities of the 112 popes from his time until the end of the world. According to Saint Malachy's prophecy, we are now in the era of the last pope, who will lead the Catholic Church through a time of great tribulation before the final judgment. The prophecy describes this final pope as Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep in many tribulations, culminating in the destruction of Rome, the city of 7 hills. This chilling prediction suggests that the reign of the last pope will coincide with a period of immense suffering and chaos, both within the Church and the world at large. The prophecy ends ominously, stating that after these tribulations, the dreadful judge will judge his people, signaling the end of days. Many believe that Pope Francis, who took the papal name in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi, could be this final pope. His unexpected rise to the papacy and the unprecedented challenges during his reign, including internal church scandals and global crises, have led some to speculate that the prophecy might indeed be coming to fruition. Adding to the intrigue, this prophecy of Saint Malachy was supposedly hidden in the Roman archives until its discovery in 1590, raising questions about its authenticity. Some scholars argue that it may have been a forgery created for political purposes during the tumultuous times of the late 16th century. Despite these doubts, the prophecy has continued to captivate believers and scholars alike, especially as the signs it describes seem increasingly relevant today. Whether or not you believe in the prophecy, the idea that we could be living in the era of the final pope is both fascinating and terrifying. The world watches with bated breath, wondering if the tribulations foretold by Saint Malachi will indeed come to pass under the leadership of the current pope, leading us to the ultimate judgment day. Number 8. The fall of Jerusalem. Recent tensions in the Middle East, particularly surrounding Jerusalem, are bringing to life ancient prophecies that warn of the city's troubled future. For centuries, Jerusalem has been a focal point of prophetic warnings, and many believe that these predictions are starting to come true. One of the most significant prophecies concerning Jerusalem comes from Jesus Christ himself. In the Gospels, particularly in Luke chapter 21, verses 20 through 24, Jesus predicts the fall of Jerusalem, describing how the city would be surrounded by armies and ultimately destroyed. This prophecy was fulfilled in 70 AD when the Romans, led by Vespasian and his son Titus, attacked and destroyed Jerusalem. The Jewish temple was completely torn down, fulfilling Jesus' prediction that not one stone will be left on another, as mentioned in Luke chapter 21, verse 6. This event began a long period where the Jewish people were scattered across the world, and Jerusalem was under the control of non-Jews, which Jesus referred to as the times of the Gentiles. But the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD is not the end of its story in prophecy. Many Christians believe that Jerusalem will again be at the center of events in the end times. For example, Zechariah chapter 14, verses 2 through 4, predict a future time when all nations will gather against Jerusalem in battle. The prophecy says that the Lord will fight against these nations, standing on the Mount of Olives and splitting it in two. This dramatic event is seen as a sign of the end of human history and the return of Christ. The prophecy of Zechariah, along with other biblical passages, suggests that the city will face another period of intense conflict before the final restoration. This future battle is often linked to the events described in Revelation, where Jerusalem becomes the focal point of a great spiritual conflict. Today's increasing tensions and the focus on Jerusalem in global politics and religion are seen by many as signs that these ancient prophecies may soon be fulfilled. The city's history of destruction and suffering might just be a preview of the ultimate events these prophecies warn about. As Jesus said, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away," meaning that these prophetic words will come true at the right time. Given the prophecies about Jerusalem, how do you think the city's future will unfold in the coming years? Share your thoughts. Number 7. Humanity's power to self-destruct. Humanity's power to self-destruct has become one of the most pressing concerns of modern times, and this fear is deeply rooted in biblical prophecy. Jesus Christ himself spoke about this in Matthew chapter 24, verse 22, warning that if the days of great tribulation were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. This prophecy highlights a future where human actions could lead to global annihilation, a scenario that seems more plausible today than ever before. For most of human history, the idea of total self-destruction seemed far-fetched. However, the development of nuclear weapons in the mid-20th century changed everything. The creation of hydrogen bombs by the United States and the Soviet Union introduced the world to the terrifying concept of mutually assured destruction. The bomb dropped on Hiroshima, known as Little Boy, unleashed devastation on an unimaginable scale, reducing a thriving city to ruins in seconds. The horrors witnessed that day made it clear that humanity had entered a new and dangerous age. Since then, the world has seen a proliferation of nuclear weapons, with at least 9 nations now possessing these deadly arsenals. The threat of nuclear war has loomed over the world like a sword of Damocles, as famously described by Billy Graham in the 1950s. The concept of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, has so far prevented global nuclear conflict, but it is a fragile piece. The more nations that acquire nuclear weapons, the greater the risk that one miscalculation or act of aggression could lead to catastrophic consequences. beyond nuclear weapons, other forms of human-made destruction are emerging. Advances in biotechnology, such as CRISPR, and the misuse of artificial intelligence pose new existential threats. These technologies, while having the potential for great good, could also be harnessed to create deadly pandemics or other forms of mass destruction. As these risks grow, the warnings of Matthew chapter 24, verse 22 become even more pertinent. Humanity is now truly capable of bringing itself to the brink of extinction, yet there is hope woven into these prophecies. While the Bible warns of the terrifying potential for self-destruction, it also assures believers that God will intervene. As Matthew 24, verse 22 suggests, for the sake of the elect, these days of destruction will be cut short, sparing the world from complete annihilation, a message of hope amidst the darkness. In the end, Christ will return to save humanity from itself, fulfilling the ultimate promise of the kingdom of God. Number 6. Unexpected royal king. The British royal family has always been shrouded in mystery and intrigue, and recent events have only deepened the fascination. In 2022, the world mourned the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, a beloved monarch whose reign spanned decades. But amid the mourning, a strange surge in interest occurred. Sales of Nostradamus' book, Les Prophecies, skyrocketed. Why? Because Nostradamus, the famous 16th century French seer, had made predictions that seemed eerily connected to the events unfolding in the British monarchy. Nostradamus' prophecies are often cryptic, but one in particular has captured the public's imagination. He foretold that after the death of a long-reigning queen, a new king would ascend the throne but face widespread rejection. This prophecy aligns uncannily with the current situation in the United Kingdom. After Queen Elizabeth's death, her son, King Charles, ascended the throne. However, according to Nostradamus' predictions, his reign may be short-lived. Charles, now in his mid-70s, might face significant public discontent, particularly due to unresolved issues from his past, such as his divorce from Princess Diana. But the prophecy takes a more unexpected turn. Nostradamus predicted that the new king would be driven out by force and replaced by someone who never anticipated becoming king. This cryptic prediction has fueled speculation about the possibility of Prince Harry, who has distanced himself from royal duties and resides outside the United Kingdom, unexpectedly ascending to the throne. Despite being far down the line of succession, some interpret Nostradamus' prophecy as suggesting that Prince Harry could take the crown under extraordinary circumstances, possibly if King Charles steps down due to health issues or public pressure, and Prince William is unable or unwilling to assume the throne. This prediction is both shocking and intriguing. Prince Harry, who was once third in line to the throne, has now distanced himself from royal life, yet Nostradamus' foresight suggests a dramatic return, especially considering he fits the prophecy's description of someone who will have no mark of a king. The idea that Harry, who has openly criticized the royal institution, could become king is as unexpected as it is controversial. From a Christian perspective, the concept of an unexpected ruler aligns with the biblical theme of the humble being exalted and the mighty being brought low, as mentioned in verses such as Luke chapter 1, verse 52. While the specific events surrounding the British monarchy are not directly mentioned in the Bible, the idea that God controls the rise and fall of leaders is a recurring theme throughout Scripture. In this light, the possibility of an unexpected king could be seen as part of a divine plan that unfolds in mysterious and unforeseen ways. Until then, the world can only wait and see if Prince Harry's path will lead him back to the very throne he once seemed to reject. Number 5. Vladimir Putin, the Lord of the world. Vladimir Putin has been a figure of great controversy and intrigue, not just in modern political discourse, but also in the realm of prophecy. Among the most unsettling predictions concerning Putin comes from Baba Vanga, a blind Bulgarian mystic whose visions have captivated and unsettled people for decades. Known as the Nostradamus of the Balkans, Baba Vanga allegedly foresaw events like the 9/11 attacks, the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and even the Russian invasion of Ukraine. One of her most ominous forecasts was that Vladimir Putin would one day become the Lord of the world. According to Baba Vanga, Putin would rise to a level of power that would make Russia an unstoppable force on the global stage. She predicted that under Putin's leadership, Russia would not only retain its power, but would also dominate, becoming the world's foremost superpower. This prophecy is particularly chilling, given the current global tensions, especially in light of Russia's actions in Ukraine and its strained relations with the West. Baba Vanga suggested that Europe would become a wasteland while Russia ascends, a grim vision of a future dominated by conflict and power shifts. Furthermore, Baba Vanga also predicted that Putin would face significant threats to his life, including assassination attempts from within his own country. In a broader biblical context, such a rise to power by a single figure like Putin can evoke thoughts of the Antichrist, a figure of immense influence and authority who will emerge in the end times, as described in Christian eschatology. While Baba Vanga's prophecy doesn't directly connect Putin to the Antichrist, her description of him as the Lord of the world carries echoes of the biblical warnings about figures who will lead humanity astray in the final days, as mentioned in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. Moreover, Revelation 13 speaks of a beast rising from the sea, wielding great power and authority, an image that some might see reflected in the growing influence of Russia under Putin's leadership. This prediction aligns with Putin's aggressive foreign policies and his efforts to restore Russia's status as a global superpower. His actions in Ukraine, Syria, and other parts of the world demonstrate a clear ambition to extend Russia's influence. For those who believe in Vanga's prophecies, these actions are seen not just as political maneuvers, but as steps toward fulfilling a destiny that has been foretold. The question that lingers is whether this prophecy will come to pass. Baba Vanga's predictions have a mixed track record, with some being eerily accurate and others less so. Nonetheless, the idea of Putin becoming the Lord of the world adds a layer of tension to the already complex and volatile global situation. If this prophecy is indeed unfolding, it could signal a period of unprecedented global change, with Russia at the center of it all. Number 4. No car owners. Could the future be one without car owners? It might sound impossible, but a growing number of experts believe that the way we think about cars is about to change drastically. According to Tony Seba, an entrepreneur and lecturer at the University of Oregon, private car ownership in the United States could drop by as much as 80% by 2030. This means that instead of the 247 million cars we have on the roads today, there may be only 44 million in the future. This prediction is based on the current global decline in car sales, which has been particularly noticeable in countries like Germany, where car sales have dropped by over 30% in just 1 year. One of the key factors driving this change is the rise of electric ride-sharing services. These services are expected to become much cheaper than owning a traditional car. Seba estimates that using electric ride-sharing could be 4 to 10 times less expensive than buying a new car. For families, this could mean saving up to $5,600 a year. The economic advantages alone could lead many people to give up their cars in favor of more affordable and sustainable options. Another major shift in transportation is the development of autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars. These cars, which operate without human drivers, are expected to become more common and more affordable in the near future. Companies are already exploring the possibility of offering free rides in autonomous vehicles, with the caveat that passengers would need to tolerate occasional advertisements during their journey. From a Christian perspective, these changes might seem like a fulfillment of biblical prophecies that warn of the world undergoing dramatic transformations in the last days. The Bible speaks of a time when human life will change in unprecedented ways, and the rise of such advanced technology could be seen as part of this larger pattern of change. For instance, Daniel chapter 12, verse 4 mentions that many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase, a verse that some interpret as a reference to the rapid advancements in technology and transportation that we are witnessing today. Moreover, this shift away from car ownership could be seen as a move towards greater stewardship of the earth. As Christians, we are called to care for God's creation, and reducing the number of cars on the road could help decrease pollution and conserve resources. The adoption of electric vehicles and ride-sharing services aligns with the biblical principle of stewardship, which emphasizes the responsible management of the resources we have been given. Do you think the rise of autonomous vehicles will improve our quality of life, or are we losing something valuable by moving away from driving ourselves? Number 3. The Millennium Kingdom and Reign. What will life be like during the 1,000-year reign of Jesus Christ on earth? This period, often referred to as the Millennial Kingdom, is one of the most anticipated events in Christian eschatology, a time of peace, righteousness, and divine fulfillment. It's a prophecy that captures the imagination and offers a glimpse into a world completely transformed under the perfect rule of Christ. The concept of the Millennial Kingdom is rooted in several biblical prophecies, with Revelation chapter 20, verses 2 through 7, providing the most explicit reference to a literal 1,000-year reign of Christ. During this time, Satan will be bound, preventing him from deceiving the nations, and Christ will establish his kingdom on earth. This period is not just a symbolic or spiritual reign, but a literal physical time when Jesus will rule from Jerusalem, fulfilling God's promises to Israel and all of creation. One of the most striking aspects of the Millennial Kingdom is the radical transformation of life on earth. Isaiah chapter 11 verses 6 through 9 paint a vivid picture of this new world, where natural enemies like wolves and lambs will coexist peacefully, and even the fiercest creatures will become gentle. This imagery underscores the profound peace that will characterize Christ's reign, a peace so deep that it will extend even to the animal kingdom. Moreover, the Millennial Kingdom will see a return to simpler, more idyllic times. The Bible describes a world where people live long lives, free from the sickness and suffering that plague humanity today. Isaiah chapter 65 verse 20 suggests that someone dying at 100 years old will be considered a mere child, highlighting the incredible health and longevity that will mark this era. In this time, people will enjoy the fruits of their labor, with vineyards, flocks, and fields flourishing under the perfect rule of Christ. The reign of Christ during this period will also fulfill God's covenants with Israel. The promises made to Abraham, David, and through the new covenant will find their ultimate fulfillment in the Millennial Kingdom. This includes the restoration of Israel to the land promised to them, the reign of a descendant of David, Jesus himself, on the throne, and a time when the knowledge of God covers the earth as waters cover the sea. However, the millennium is not just about peace and prosperity. It is also a time of preparation, a prelude to the final confrontation between good and evil. At the end of the 1,000 years, Satan will be released for a short time to deceive the nations once more, leading to a final rebellion. But this uprising will be swiftly crushed, culminating in Satan's ultimate defeat and the ushering in of the eternal state, where God's kingdom will reign forever. The Millennial Kingdom is the ultimate fulfillment of God's promises and the restoration of all things. It challenges us to think beyond the present and to look forward to a future where righteousness, peace, and divine justice reign supreme. Number 2, terrifying disasters. Throughout history, the world has witnessed its share of terrifying disasters, earthquakes, floods, plagues, and fires that have shaped the course of human events. Yet, according to biblical prophecy, the most terrifying disasters are still to come. These future calamities are not merely natural events, but are depicted as divine judgments meant to bring humanity to repentance and to fulfill God's ultimate plan. The Bible, particularly in the book of Revelation, foretells a series of catastrophic events that will occur during the end times. Revelation chapters 6 through 16 outline these events in vivid detail, describing the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls of God's wrath. Each of these series of judgments unleashes increasingly severe disasters upon the earth, affecting both the natural world and human society. One of the most terrifying prophecies involves the great earthquake mentioned in Revelation chapter 16, described as the most severe earthquake ever to occur. This quake will be so powerful that every island fled away and the mountains could not be found. Another similar prophecy can be found in Joel chapter 2, verses 30 and 31, where the prophet speaks of wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. These cosmic disturbances are often interpreted as signs of massive volcanic eruptions or other celestial events that could bring about widespread panic and chaos. The prophecy of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in Revelation chapter 6, verses 1 through 8, also paint a chilling picture of the disasters to come. The first rider, on a white horse, represents conquest and the spread of global conflict. The second rider, on a red horse, symbolizes war and bloodshed. The third rider, on a black horse, brings famine and economic collapse. The fourth rider, on a pale horse, is death, accompanied by Hades, signaling widespread mortality due to war, famine, and plague. Jesus himself warned of these terrifying events in the Olivet Discourse, recorded in Matthew chapter 24, verses 7 and 8, where he spoke of famines and earthquakes in various places, which he described as the beginning of birth pains. These disasters are not random occurrences, but are part of a divine plan that will lead to the return of Christ and the establishment of his kingdom. The book of Revelation also speaks of the waters of the earth turning to blood, the scorching of the earth by intense heat, and devastating plagues that will strike those who refuse to repent. Revelation chapter 8, verses 7 through 12 describe the first 4 trumpet judgments, which bring about hail and fire mixed with blood, a mountain burning with fire cast into the sea, a great star called wormwood falling from the sky, and the darkening of the sun, moon, and stars. Each of these judgments brings with it ecological and environmental catastrophes on a scale never before seen. As we move closer to the fulfillment of these prophecies, the world may witness events that defy imagination. The question remains, will humanity heed the warnings and turn to God, or will it continue on a path that leads to destruction? Number 1, solar tsunami. The idea of a solar tsunami might sound like something out of science fiction, but according to some prophecies, it could be a very real and terrifying event that might soon impact our world. Baba Vanga, a well-known mystic, predicted that in 2024, Earth could face a devastating solar tsunami, an event where the sun unleashes intense solar storms that would overwhelm our planet's magnetic shield. The result? Widespread blackouts, disrupted communication systems, and a damaged magnetic shield that would leave Earth vulnerable to further cosmic dangers. Scientists have expressed concern about the plausibility of such a scenario. Recent astronomical observations have detected a magnetic filament near the sun's equator, loaded with a complex network of magnetic field lines. This discovery raises the possibility that a massive solar storm could be propelled towards Earth. If such an eruption occurs, it could lead to an electromagnetic onslaught that would severely damage vital infrastructure, including power grids and GPS networks. While solar maximum events, which typically happen every 11 years, haven't historically caused global catastrophe, the increasing dependence on technology in modern society makes the potential impact of a solar storm much more severe. Experts warn that a powerful solar storm could lead to prolonged blackouts, potentially endangering millions of lives. The event predicted by Baba Vanga highlights the fragile relationship between human civilization and the immense forces of the cosmos. From a Christian perspective, this prophecy can be seen as a reminder of the power and sovereignty of God over creation. The Bible often speaks of signs in the heavens and the earth as indicators of God's plans unfolding. Luke chapter 21 warns of signs in the sun, moon, and stars, and that nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea, which could be seen as a metaphor for cosmic disturbances like a solar tsunami. Whether or not Baba Vanga's prediction will come true remains to be seen. However, it serves as a sobering reminder of how vulnerable our technologically advanced society is to the natural forces beyond our control. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the next video for more exciting content.